is Nancy Lopez, and this is the Real Realtor Life with
Madison Allred.
this is Madison, and she is a broker here in the Asheboro office. And I'm so happy to have
I'm
you.
excited to be here.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. How many years have you been doing this now?
So I'm in my second year now. I started at the end of 2023, so it was kind of like that in between. So yeah, going into my second year, and it's going really well so far. It's been a learning experience for sure, but it's been really good.
Great, great. What do you feel like has been your biggest shift between your first and second year?
So I feel like my first year, it was a lot of building that business. And I know everybody tells you that in the beginning, and you really don't know what that means until I feel like you are in your second year and you are starting to build that business. You really have to lay the foundation. So for me, that was like doing open houses, building trust with people, not just your sphere, but people on your social media. I really tried to focus on doing things consistently. Like there's so much out there that you can do as a realtor to market yourself, but it can be overwhelming. So
Yeah.
I felt like I had to pick like 4 or 5 things that I was going to do and do them consistently and just stick with that. And you just have to keep doing it, even though you're not seeing business from it in the beginning because you won't.
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
and you feel like it might not work, but you can't quit. You have to keep doing those same things.
So I know you were doing open houses, and when you started, you kind of hit the ground running with open houses. You immediately started asking other agents.
Mm-hmm.
What was that process like when you first started hosting open houses and, you know, talking to real clients for the first time? What was that like?
It was very scary. I had no idea what I was doing. I was a brand new agent right out of school, and I really didn't know what an open house consisted of. But I learned best by doing, and it just was easier for me to just do it and
Mm-hmm.
figure out what worked than to just sit around and plan, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, versus just do it. And
Mm-hmm.
whatever you realize doesn't work or doesn't you don't have good results from, just don't do that and figure out what does work. So for me, I like to be very organic. I like to just have organic conversations with people. So like I don't focus as much about like getting people to sign in and I just try to connect with that person, find out why they're looking to buy, maybe why they need to sell, and just relate to them on a personal level, and then that builds trust, and then they feel like they can open up to you and call you. If they do find another house they want to see, hopefully they'll remember me and
Mm-hmm.
they will actually want to work with you and not just have you there as someone to open the door for the open house.
Yeah, yeah, that's true because a lot of people will walk in and they already have a realtor.
Yeah.
So they're already working with somebody else and they're kind of there because their realtor is not available or
Yep.
the opportunity to see a house without a realtor is open. So, but when you do find those clients that you feel like you connect with, do you follow up with them? Do you try to get their contact information?
I do, yeah. I do try to get their information while they're there, and sometimes it doesn't always happen. Like I said, I try not to force things. I will invite them to sign in. I do the Spacio sign in
Mm-hmm.
on my laptop. But if they act kind of weird about it, I don't push it, and I
Yeah.
just try to connect with them while they're there. Like ask them questions. Do they live in the area? Are you seeing other places today? And just try to get them to open up to me, and a lot of times they will, or they'll say, like, well, this isn't exactly what we're looking for. We want XYZ. And then I'll say, okay, well, I actually know of a house. And then I'll try to kind of further that conversation then and say, if you want to give me your phone number, I can shoot you over the listing and maybe we can schedule to see it. If they don't have an agent, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had a lot of good luck with that recently, like just trying to, like I said, connect with them and be helpful and add value and not just be there like, okay, let me know if you have questions and
Yeah.
like send them on their way.
Yeah.
A lot of people do want the help. They just don't really know how to ask for it. So you
Mm-hmm.
really have to kind of like pull that out of them.
That's really interesting because I do feel like that's true, especially buyers are very wary of who they
Mm-hmm.
talk to and what kind of information they share. So definitely getting that connection organically and just having a normal conversation and seeing about their needs is going to help a lot. So I feel like you've probably mastered that by now.
I'm
And
working on
yeah,
it.
I'm sure that's probably something you're going to do long term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I feel like that is just the best results I've seen is connecting with that person and really just adding value to their buying process because it is overwhelming. And if they don't have an agent, they have a lot of questions. They don't really know what to do. But sometimes they don't feel comfortable just asking every agent they see at an open house because maybe they don't connect with that person. It's not easy for them to open up. So I find that I've had good results from that.
That's good. That's really
Mm-hmm.
good. So, with that, I've seen that you post on social media, you announce that you have an open house. Do you follow any other strategies or is it more intuitive when you're posting on social media?
So it's a little bit of both. I do have a little bit of strategy behind it, but I also just kind of try to stay consistent with social media. Everything is digital these days,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're not consistently posting, people don't know you're doing business. They
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing behind the scenes. I mean, you're grinding all day, every day, but they don't
Yeah.
know that unless you post it. So, especially as a new agent, people want to see that you're busy and they
Mm-hmm.
want to work with someone who's busy. So even if I don't have listings, I try to do a featured listing. I've recently started doing this actually, like people in our office or just in Allen Tate in general. I'll reach out to them and say, hey, can I feature your listing? And I obviously tag them because it's their listing. And I'll just post tons of photos of that house, put all the highlights in the comments, and invite people if you're interested to reach out to me to
Mm-hmm.
schedule a showing. So I might not have listings, but people that are watching don't really know that. They don't really
Yeah.
know the difference of
Yeah.
me posting someone else's listing or my listing. And that is something that was kind of surprising to me because I would have people comment like, "Oh my gosh, like you're so busy, you're so busy." I'm like, really, I'm not, but I'm just trying to make it look like that.
Yeah.
But again, people want to work with busy people
Yeah.
because they relate that to success.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I do featured listings. I try to once a week, and then I try to highlight the listing I'm going to do the open house for.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have an open house for that weekend, I'll just post a listing anyway because you never know what you're going to get from that. And then I do open house flyers. I share that on my social media, and I try to do a video if the house is vacant.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do reels. Those I get a lot of feedback from those. Um, and then on social media too, I just try to build trust and value with my followers, whether or not they're buying from me or not, or maybe they will never buy from me. I don't know, but I do try to do like buyer and seller tips. So like maybe once or twice a month, I'll post either a buyer tip or a seller tip. And I mean, that could be something as simple as you need to have landscaping in front of your yard when you go to
Yeah.
sell. Just simple things that, you kind of think might be common sense, but people just don't really know or they forget maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's oftentimes the little things
Mm-hmm.
that turn out to be really big things because I was talking to another agent about a listing that she is having a really hard time selling, and it's because the front yard is covered in mulch.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no grass, and they decided to throw mulch instead of grass, and now it's just costing them a lot of time on the market, and that's precious time that
Yeah.
you're going to get the better offers, I would say, probably closer to the beginning of,
Yeah,
when you
absolutely.
list the property. So, you got to buy yourself some time. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to waste too much time in the beginning. And I think, yeah, those details are very
They are.
much
They're very
overlooked.
important, and
Yeah.
people do overlook them. They're like, "Oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. The inside looks great. The
Yeah.
inside, it's spotless." But I mean, the yard is the first thing that you see, and a
Yeah.
lot of people do overlook that. But landscaping can honestly make or break a house, and
Yeah.
so along those lines, just small tips like that, I try to post just sporadically, and just kind of like I said, add value because people are like, oh, like she's constantly giving me information that I didn't know, whether it's a market report or a buyer or seller tip, and they might not be ready to buy or sell now, but they will in the future. I
Yeah.
mean, most people are going to buy or sell a few times in their life, so um, you know, it's that first year I was building all of that trust, and now I'm finally starting to see the people that were watching behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes that you never hear from them, they never respond to your reach outs,
Yeah.
but finally they're like, hey, I actually want to look at this house, can you help me? And so that's just reassuring that like your hard work is paying off.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Do you feel like you have any new strategies that you want to work on or anything that you want to try?
One of my goals this year, hopefully, is I really want to try to put out content that's maybe not as real estate related. Like, for example, I follow a bunch of realtors online,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like to grab marketing, ideas from other people because I mean, you kind of run out of ideas at some
Yeah.
point, and so. One girl I follow, she does a really good job about just educating people about her market, like just random things. Like she'll go out and make a video downtown and she'll say like, this new business is coming here, like this is what it's going to serve, this is, and she gives information about things coming in her area, which I think is so cool. It's kind of real estate related,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not so in your face. It's just like, hey, here's cool information about the town we live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's something really neat, that I would like to start implementing. Just like finding the time to, really research and find things that might be up and coming that people don't know about,
Mm-hmm.
that everyone finds interesting. Everyone loves that on Facebook.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I feel like you'll have a lot of luck with that here because Asheboro is growing a lot. There's
it
a
is.
lot of new businesses coming, so you're going to have a lot of content for that
Yeah,
if that's
yeah.
something you want to do.
Yeah, I do want to do it. It's just trying to find, fit
The
that
time,
into
yeah.
everything that you're already doing. But
Mm-hmm.
that is a goal that I have, is to kind of broaden my marketing in that sense, like not as real estate in your face, but more so like, this is super cool. Like, and then that's something that people share too. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they see a video about, oh my gosh, we're getting a Publix at this location, send it to their mom, send it to their sister.
Yeah.
And so even if they don't follow me for real estate, they might just start seeing my content
Yep.
from those shares. So that's another kind of strategy behind that.
Yep. That's very true. Do you prefer Facebook or Instagram, or do you use both equally, do you think?
I do try to use both equally. I feel like most of my like tips and posts and market reports go to Facebook. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really know why. I feel like I get more feedback from Facebook. Like maybe it's the people that use Facebook and the
Yep.
generations are
Yep.
more interested in that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a lot of feedback from Reels through Instagram. They seem to do better there
Yep.
versus Facebook. But I do share most of my content in both places. But I feel like I said, Facebook gets better on the post and Instagram gets better on the videos. So, but I still just try to put it in two places because not
Yeah.
everyone's seeing everything you post.
Yep. Yeah. That's really interesting too. Do you mix your personal page with your business page, or do you have separate pages?
So I do have separate pages, and this is something that I'm really still trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people that follow me on my personal still follow me on my business. But I feel like I do have a lot of people that follow me on my personal that could be potential clients, but
Yeah.
don't yet follow me on my business. So I feel like I'm missing out on that opportunity if I don't share it on my personal
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
So a lot of times if I'm posting a reel, like if it's about a house or an open house, or I'm doing any type of video that I think would get good traction, I'll collaborate it with both accounts through Instagram. So now instead of just tagging an account, you can collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure people know that, but it shows up on both places. So it'll show up on my business page, it'll show up on my personal. So both audiences can see it, and then if in the top corner it'll say like Madison Allred, and then it will say my business Instagram, so they can go to both if they don't even know that I have a business account. It's easy to find.
Yeah.
So I do try to collaborate both, but I'm not really sure like the balance, I guess, of like how much is too much on your personal. Because if
Mm-hmm.
people wanted to see it, you would think they would follow your real estate page, but I don't know. Everything's so saturated on Instagram. It's hard to find out
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah. Also, I feel like the algorithm is a little funky, so you do
Mhm.
have to be careful with what you're posting
Mhm.
and, just be very selective and intentional when you post because I think it's very noticeable when people post just to post, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? When they
Yeah.
share just to share. I think there
Yeah.
is a difference between doing something online organically and, doing it just to do it. I feel like people don't notice that it's very obvious,
Yeah.
or at least I can
Yeah.
tell,
No, I agree with that. I do think it's very obvious. So that's why, like, when I am posting on my personal page business stuff, I still try to mix in my life because
Hmm.
those are the people that are friends or their family,
Yep.
like they're in my sphere. And so, like, when we take a trip or my dog, like, I still post those things too because I don't want it to just be like I'm hitting you every day with business stuff.
Yeah.
Because that gets annoying. I mean, I get
Yeah.
annoyed seeing that
Yeah.
on Facebook and stuff. So I really try not to do that on my personal page, but I still want people to know, like, I'm in real estate, I'm
Mm-hmm.
selling, like you can reach out to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just a balance between it, I think, and figuring that out is sometimes hard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you're doing a great job because I
Thank you.
follow you and I like all your stuff whenever I see it. I don't get too much on social media now, but every time I see it, I think you're doing great.
Yeah, it's so hard because everything is on socials these days, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're not on social media, I feel like you're like getting left behind, kind of.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you really have to kind of keep up with it, and just find what balance works for you, and pick the things that you're going to do, and just stick with it because
Yep.
you cannot do it all. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like my first 6 months, I tried to do everything because I wanted business so quickly. I wanted to get rolling. I wanted to make money, obviously. And it just got really overwhelming really quickly
Yeah.
because you can't do it all.
Yep, yep. And you're already doing so much. I feel like as a realtor, you
Yeah.
wear many, many hats
Mhm.
already. So finding that balance is definitely going to be the most important part. And then being consistent is like the priority with
Mhm.
whatever you choose to do.
Yeah, it's so true. And everyone preached that to me in the beginning, and I didn't truly understand it. I feel like until this year, where I'm
Mm-hmm.
finally starting to see business come from all the things I did. So I am thankful that I did those things. I stuck with it, even though it was really hard. And you're not going to see stuff from it for a minute,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's this year's been really good so far, and I'm excited to see what comes.
I'm excited for you. I think you're going to do great.
Thank
And
you.
I'm glad you're in the Asheboro office because this is where I started too. And I definitely got a lot of help and guidance and a lot of the same
Mm-hmm.
advice that you have received from the agents here. And, it didn't work out for me because I'm not selling houses
Yes, it did.
anymore.
You do great at this.
But I like this. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much
You're
for being on this
welcome.
podcast.
Thank
And
you.
this has been the Real Realtor Life with Madison Allred. Follow her on social media.
Yes.
She's doing great. I'll tag her. And thank you for watching.
Thanks.